Hello and thanks for joining us on Nationwide today. I'm Elizabeth Omori. Former ambassador in Nigeria's permanent representative at the United Nations, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, has advocated the use of dialogue as the only solution to resolving issues and matters around security and coexistence in the country. Professor Gambari gave this suggestion at the opening ceremony of a two-day roundtable discussion organized by the Abdusalami Abubakar Institute for Peace and Sustainable Development Studies, held at the Mezube Farm, Niger State. Dauda Mohammed reports that the roundtable drew participants from across the country.
The two-day roundtable discussion is the center's contribution to the search for solutions to some of the problems currently being experienced in the country. Participants are drawn from diverse ethnic, religious, and regional divides with emphasis on elders of the various groups as well as platforms. Convener of the roundtable and former head of state, General Abdusalami Abubakar, noted that Nigeria is going through a period of trial amidst growing tension and resentment, which require that certain individuals must live up to expectations of a nation that puts so much value in elders and leaders.
The elders, the citizens, the young ones, who have a stake in this country, let us come and discuss our experience and find a solution. Fighting in the newspapers or in the news, social media will not solve the problem.
Chairman of the roundtable, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, Niger State Governor Abubakar Sani Bello, whose message was presented, and others are all of the opinion that the discussion is timely and necessary for charting a course for the country.
We must find the things that unite us. We must build a national consensus around a set of values of progress, of peace, of unity, and of justice.
Nigeria is going through a trying period, and we the elders feel that we should, it's about time we sit together, appraise the situation, see the depth to which it has sunk, and see how we can bring things back on an even keel.
This is a good sign when members of the thinking elite meet and start to talk to each other.
The military cannot solve problem because the problem are political.
A communique at the end of the meeting is expected to be made available to every federal, state, and other relevant institutions for possible consideration on further action. In Mina, Dauda Mohammed, NTA News.
And still on peace, creating laws and opportunities for the youth to engage in fruitful economic activities would reduce incidences of violent conflict in Africa. This is was the observation of participants at a workshop on violent conflict and private economic activities in sub-Saharan Africa. Olabode Arewa reports.
Recent studies by the Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution identifies violent conflict as one of the defining features of the African continent. Erosion of the livelihoods of communities where such conflicts occur often leads to the displacement of people. Thomas Sosiali and Floride Aitungie have been studying the effect of violent conflict on Africa's development.
There seems to be overall quite a remarkable resilience of micro-enterprises, which can be used as a leverage.
Now we are trying to connect the economic actors, creating the networking between stakeholders, economic actors.
They join others at this forum to examine strategies for mitigating conflict through community empowerment. Nigeria is identified as a model for positive economic growth, despite the presence of violent conflicts.
No adequate research attention have been paid to small-scale businesses, particularly household businesses, and how they survive during conflict.
Among solutions being proffered is sustainable framework for resolving conflict in African communities. Experts at this forum believe that improving access to economic activities for entrepreneurs and those who wish to go into the sector is one of the ways of ending violent conflicts in Africa. In Abuja, Labrador, NTA News.
And now to judicial matters. Federal High Court sitting in Uyo, the Akwa Ibom state capital, has ruled in favor of the state government in a case instituted against it by the Atheist Society of Nigeria, seeking to stop government from funding religious projects with taxpayers' money. Kelvin Sama reports that the ruling includes a 500,000 naira awarded to the defendant as cost.
The 8-month legal battle, which had Atheist Society of Nigeria as claimant and the Akwa Ibom state government as defendant, was seeking to stop government from using taxpayers' money in sponsoring religious projects. Citing Section 10 and 38 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, the claimant was also requesting government to be neutral in all matters of religion. Ruling on the suit, the Chief Judge of Akwa Ibom State, Justice Godwin Abraham, maintained that supporting or sponsoring the building of a worship center by the government is not the same as adopting Christianity as a state religion.
That Akwa Ibom State is a Christian state because the population of this state is made of over 99.99% of the population of this state is Christian. And we owe nobody any apology that we are a Christian state. But that does not mean declaring a state Christianity as a state religion. They are two different things.
But disappointed, really, with the judgment of today. Because we see the role of government not to include the promotion of any specific religion.
Atheist Society of Nigeria is a group who do not believe in God or gods, but insist that issues concerning religion should remain personal. In Uyo, Kevin Samuel, NTA News.
And still on judicial matters, President Muhammadu Buhari has opened his defense before the Presidential Election Petitions Court sitting in Abuja. President Buhari, through his counsel, Wole Olanipekun San, SAN is defending his victory in the February 23, 2019 presidential election as declared by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. President Buhari is the second respondent in the petition where the People's Democratic Party and its candidate Atiku Abubakar are challenging his victory in the presidential election. Wole Olanipekun SAN counsel to President Buhari tendered several documents, including the certified true copy of his school leaving certificate from Katsina Provincial Secondary School in 1961. Though counsel to the petitioners, Levi Uzoku SAN objected to the admissibility of the documents. Counsel to INEC Husman Ustaz SAN and that of the APC Latif Fagbemi SAN did not object to the admissibility of the documents. The 5-man presidential election petitions court, led by Justice Mohammed Garba, admitted all the documents in evidence. Wole Olanipekun SAN, counsel to President Muhammadu Buhari, has commenced calling of witnesses with Major General Paul Tafa, who was enlisted alongside President Muhammadu Buhari in the Nigerian Army in April 16, 1962, as the first witness. As at the time of filing this report, 3 witnesses have given evidence on behalf of President Muhammadu Buhari. APC National Chairman Adams Oshiomhole and Peter Obi are in court. Moving on now, there seems to be no hiding place for those engaging in trafficking in persons as voices for stringent measures to combat the menace get louder. Joseph Johnson was at the 2019 World Day Against Human Trafficking public lecture.
There are lots of stories surrounding the intricacies of human trafficking, yet some still untold. While a number of people are victims, others are merely escapees of such traumas. The latter is the story of this veteran actor, Kenneth Okonkwo, who was born in a refugees camp. No, this isn't a Nollywood storyline. He was actually at the age of being trafficked, he tells me.
So a lot of destinies perish in all those IDP camps. I was just fortunate that maybe during the Nigerian Biafran War, this issue of trafficking has not become this prevalent.
Okonkwo, alongside many here from across Nigeria, are harping on the fact that human trafficking is a horrible crime against humanity and a threat to national security. Apart from commemorating the 2019 World Day Against Human Trafficking, they advocate further necessary actions to win the fight.
The federal government of Nigeria's resolve to tackle this scourge remains unshaken, and it is a fight we must win for the sake of our future.
I employ every actor in this campaign to reposition its modus operandi with a view to engendering a varied crime prevention mechanism.
Since inception in 2003, NAPTIP has secured 403 convictions, with over 14,000 victims rescued, rehabilitated, and reintegrated back into their various communities.
Despite some strides recorded by the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, the fight, everyone here agrees, is far from being over. But they are optimistic that they are not losing the battle. Joseph Johnson, NTA News.
More on human trafficking from our Lagos Network Center, where Dotun Ogunyemi is standing by. Hello, Dotun.
Thank you, Elizabeth, and welcome to Lagos. The war against trafficking in persons is taking another dimension in Nigeria as some key players call for legislation that will step up sanctions against offenders. Michael Olaleye reports that this was the consensus of Nigerians as the world marks the day against trafficking in persons in Lagos.
On my way coming, I was sold. So after I was sold, they asked me to demand a ransom. I was there, the person who came to buy me give the man money. From a week, they will start beating so that your money will come quickly.
This short but explicit video sum up the pains and anguish of human trafficking. Yet, it is still a global menace, with Nigeria ranked 32 out of 167 countries with the highest prevalence rate. More than 1 million Nigerians are still being exploited for commercial gains across the world. This work, in commemoration of the World Day Against Trafficking, is to highlight the persuasive strategies used by traffickers to recruit their unsuspecting victims and strengthen collaboration in the fight against trafficking in persons.
The human trafficker is not a spirit. The human trafficker could be your neighbor. The human trafficker could be your uncle or auntie. When you start seeing promises that are too rosy, please suspect something. Somebody is coming to you to say he's going to better your lot. Has he bettered his own lot?
In 2016 alone, more than 600,000 Nigerians, according to the United Nations, endeavored to migrate to Europe via the Sahara Desert. And so far, the International Organization for Migration, in collaboration with relevant agencies, has returned 14,000 Nigerians from various parts of the world.
Our aim is to make sure we catch them young. More students, after graduating from the university, the next thing is to travel by all means.
The theme for this year highlights the importance of government action in the interest of victims of trafficking.
I think the law should really be strengthened, as in maybe the term of imprisonment should be increased, okay, and then forfeiture should also be included.
The task before the global community is how to end the illegal trade of human trafficking, which the Global Slavery Index put at $150 billion global industry. In Lagos, Michael Olaleye, NT News.
Nigerian Navy and the United States Navy will continue to collaborate to improve security on the Gulf of Guinea. Flag Officer Commanding Western Naval Command, Rear Admiral Oladele Daji, stated this when the U.S. Chief of Strategy Resources and Plans, Rear Admiral John Goobleton, paid a walking visit to the Western Command.
The maritime domain in the last few years experienced various security challenges ranging from piracy and other illicit maritime activities. The Nigerian Navy is, however, determined to put an end to these challenges. The Flag Officer Commanding Western Naval Command, Rear Admiral Oladele Daji, underscored the need to strengthen international collaboration to improve maritime security.
We are all interconnected by the seas.
And because we use the seas for various purposes, chief among which is transportation, we cannot but cooperate to ensure that all the transnational crimes, including piracy, require collective effort.
The United States Chief of Strategy, Resources and Plans, Navy, was emphatic on strengthening bilateral relationship with the Navy on maritime security. He stressed that effective multilateral cooperation among regional partners would go a long way in addressing these challenges.
Navies across the world, whether it's the United States Navy or the Nigerian Navy, have a single purpose, and that is to enhance economic prosperity and to make sure the trade of commerce through your waters is safe and secure. And that is good for all governments, both the United States and Nigeria.
The Navy remains committed and resolute in ensuring safer waterways and sea lanes for Nigeria's economy to thrive. In Lagos, Lane Lenake, NTA News.
Towards building effective capacity necessary for sustainable development through the use of technology, a non-governmental organization, Judicial Pairs International, brought together 400 young students to train on ICT. Ruth Ario-Samo reports that the theme for this year is E-Governance, Accountability, Creativity and Transparency Act.
Digitest is an annual creative camp and competition for children and youths ages 8 to 18 with an intent of bridging the global digital divide among youth, fostering unity amongst tribes and regions, while encouraging intellectual interaction with contemporaries. The Digitest National Coordinator, Ibikun Oduchote, said the camp is hinged on nation building as youths will be reviewing issues bordering on e-governance.
The lack of openness, transparency, and accountability in governance is a major barrier to development. An improved stakeholder involvement in our country will mean trumpeting the issues in governance and having everyone participate in the drive for finding solutions to these issues.
The computer has provided you with a lot of opportunity to learn various things at the same time. Digitest has provided you with a platform to mix with people like you and test your acumen.
Participants expressed enthusiasm to learn new things on the computer and get more exposure to leadership and governance.
With e-governance, how to be able to help people in my country and also how to maybe teach people outside about e-governance.
My expectations are very high and I hope the camp won't let me down.
The 400 students, drawn from 36 states across the country, are expected to be in camp for 2 weeks. In Lagos, Ruth Ario-Samuel, NTA News.
That's our contribution from Lagos. Nationwide continues after the break.
Thanks for staying with us. President Muhammadu Buhari says the overwhelming victory recorded by the governing APC in the last elections was a clear statement of resolve by Nigerians not to return to the dark days of impunity and corruption. Receiving in audience a delegation of progressives and academics on a solidarity visit, the president is reassuring them that their trust and confidence will neither be taken for granted nor be in vain. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
Education remains a top priority for our government.
In the last 4 years, President Muhammadu Buhari said over 1 trillion naira has been injected into the education sector through various interventions. This is in addition to the payment of earned academic allowances to lecturers, homegrown school feeding program, and other social investment initiatives that encourage enrollment and retention in public primary schools.
In the next 4 years, we shall continue with the work to transform the sector, keeping in mind our high population growth rate, financial challenges, and security issues, especially in those conflict-affected areas. Simply put, our progressive agenda can only be sustained if we have an educated and skilled society. Therefore, we have no choice but to produce more engineers, technicians, doctors, nurses, and teachers.
The president, who thanked members of the progressives in academics for sustaining their trust and confidence in his leadership, promised to continuously consult with them in the onerous task of nation building. The progressives in academics, led by Bolariwa Bolaji, had earlier presented to the president some proposals on the best way forward for Nigeria in respect of some critical economic sectors. These are in the areas of education, the fight against insecurity and corruption, judiciary, economy, as well as reduction in cost of governance.
In the area of security, we are proposing that there will be enactment of policy on policing the police, so that when they are policed effectively, then the corruption that is there will can be arrested. On judicial reforms, we are proposing that instead of having one shift in our law courts, we can implement 2 shifts so that there will be quick delivery of justice. On the power sector, we are proposing that the Mr. President go ahead quickly to implement what the whole Nigerian knows that you want to do on that power sector by reviewing the sale of power distribution companies. In the oil and gas sector, we are calling on you to implement quickly to what the whole Nigerians know that you want to do by revoking oil well licenses given to individuals and hand them over to state government, other than having the common patrimony of Nigerians be taken by some few individuals. If it is taken by the state government, it will be better.
The progressives in academics, comprising mainly members of the academia, believe in President Muhammadu Buhari, support his ideals, and willing to contribute to the success of his administration through consultancy services and formulation of result-oriented policies for consideration. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Ministerial nominees. This followed the screening of the remaining 3 nominees: Salih Maman from Taraba State, Sabo Nanono Kano, and Lai Mohammed from Kwara State. Meanwhile, the Senate has resolved to take over legislative activities of the Edo State House of Assembly if the governor does not issue a fresh proclamation for inauguration of members within 1 week. Now, democracy will hold no meaning if it does not deliver on the dividends, with security serving as most critical. These are the words of the Catholic Archbishop of Abuja Diocese, John Cardinal Onekon, at a media briefing to mark his 50th anniversary as a Catholic priest. Momso Damian Dati reports.
Nigeria has been grappling with kidnappings, armed banditry, intercommunal clashes, insurgent attacks, and other threats. Though government has been doing much to contain them, septuagenarian renowned clergy John Cardinal Onekon is advocating more from government, groups and individuals. At this briefing to mark his 50 years as a priest, he recalls the conception of Nigeria and her struggle to maturity, wondering what has gone wrong.
Whatever democratic system you have on ground will be judged by how it delivers good governance. And good governance is described in terms of the common good of everybody, an atmosphere of peace and tranquility, security. And I'm not saying affluence, but simply a level of, a minimum level of human dignity for all citizens.
The 75-year-old Catholic Archbishop therefore made these recommendations for a better nation.
I consider it great, no matter what big buildings or what big structures we put up, if there are too many people who are in abject poverty, who cannot live like human beings, the nation is not great. Our nation's greatness will be judged by how we treat our poorest and weakest members.
Other activities have been lined up to mark Onekon's golden anniversary as a priest. Momso Damian Ati, NTA News.
Now, a new research by the African Peace Building Network and the Center for Democracy and Development has found out that dialogue is needed among other factors to resolve farmers-herders conflicts. Salisu Abdullah reports that the research done through the African Continent Research Team has participants drawn from 5 African countries.
The devastation to both human and material resources as a result of conflict between herders and farmers in Africa and Nigeria in particular has generated topic of discourse at various fora. However, adopting a historical approach towards changing the trajectory for peace building through a research is the latest measures taken to end the crisis. 5 African countries, Nigeria, Togo, Cameroon, Burkina Faso and Sudan, all presented researchers whom have come to Abuja to cross-fertilize findings and validate terms for adoption, which is geared towards ending the crisis. The report is expected to be made public before the end of the year.
For example, the question of climate change and environmental scarcity came out very powerfully, almost across all the case studies that we explored.
I found out there is a particular point or a new development in Togolese situation. It is that the ECOWAS set rules for the transhumance across West Africa.
Cameroon has created what you call the Agro-Pastoral Commission. And this commission, I want to think that it also exists in other African countries. But the issue in Cameroon that is peculiar is that this commission does not even have a budget to function with. And this commission functions by telling the people that are affected, that are already in grief, to contribute for them to go to sort out their issues.
Key among the report being considered is the recommendations to encourage both state and non-state actors to collectively fight crime, predominantly herders and farmers clash, ensure holistic engagement with those affected to guide against future occurrences, and provide succor to all victims. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi, NTA News.
Still on agriculture, farmers have been urged to insure their farms and agricultural produce. This came to the fore at a 3-day sensitization workshop organized for farmers by the Nigerian Agricultural Insurance Corporation in Karo, Nasarawa State. Sulaiman Ove Musa reports.
Farmers from the North Central Zone have been sensitized on the need to insure their farms in case of disaster for greater output. Most farmers in Nigeria risk their farms yearly to damages caused either by natural or man-made disaster, uncompensated, hence the workshop.
We need to ensure that we will start insuring our cattle so that anything that happened to them, government will know that, yes, this is what happened.
This forum here are given a platform that a lot of benefits that are available when your farm are insured.
Stakeholders at the training implore farmers to key into modern-day farming for Nigeria to attain self-sufficiency and be exporter of agricultural produce.
It is important for people to know that having a farm and not insuring is like almost committing suicide. Insurance is the backbone for farmers.
The major mandate is to ensure that farmer comes together. So when they come together, they will be identified.
Since the CBN started Ankobora's program through the rice pilot projects, you could see the increase in rice production in Nigeria, and people are becoming more aware of Nigerian homegrown rice and consuming more of homegrown rice.
The training cut across all the 6 geopolitical zones in Nigeria. From Kefi, Suleiman Ove Musa, NTA News.
This is Nationwide on NTA. Now, stakeholders prefer solution to illegal migration. This and more reports from our Benin Network Center.
Hello, Elizabeth. Thanks for joining us in Benin. As World Day of Trafficking in Persons is marked today, there are calls for people to look inwards instead of migrating illegally. Uduakomung Achibong in this report examines the positive alternative to illegal migration.
Nigeria has had its fair share of irregular migrants to countries such as Libya, Spain and Italy to seek for what many describe as greener pastures. Apart from the harvest of that recorded, some are turned back, and those who finish the journey realize that life may not be easier across the Mediterranean or the desert.
If the women, they are subject to be raped, maltreated, in fact, be used as slaves and what have you.
These bitter experiences therefore bring to the fore the need for Nigerians to look inward, use their potentials to realize their dreams, starting with creative ventures which are identified as petite trading, fashion design, hairstyling and barbering, and other forms of small-scale businesses and skill acquisition.
No dealer today that is not looking for who we help. There are new products every day.
But it is also observed that while most Nigerians are eager and ready to be self-reliant, they are financially incapacitated.
Interest rates should be reduced. When you want to encourage people, you give them tax holidays. We don't have such things here.
There's a lot of wealth in the villages, but no light, no roads.
It is believed that if concrete and practical approaches are adopted to provide a conducive environment and opportunities for Nigerians to be busy with their hands, illegal migration will be eradicated. In Benin, Udrakobong Achibong, NTA News.
Concerned bodies and organizations are joining the global community to eradicate hepatitis. Rotary Club of Ogba, Benin, District 9141 is one of them to help raise awareness on the ailment. The club has screened members of the public on hepatitis B and C. Ivie Omori reports that it is in collaboration with NTA Benin Network Center.
Hepatitis is a highly contagious liver infection caused by the hepatitis A virus. It spreads from contaminated food or water or contact with someone who is infected. With more than 100,000 cases per year in Nigeria alone, with 5 types of hepatitis, hepatitis B has been identified as the commonest cause of chronic liver disease in the country, with the southern parts having up to 58.1%.
This is a disease that is preventable, and even the hepatitis B, C is curable. So many people that even have this ailment, they don't even know about it.
The conscious effort to raise awareness on the ailment is why Rotary Club of Ogba is here.
The exercise is for us to know those who have, and subsequently we are going to provide the vaccines.
Stationed at the NTA, the staff took advantage of the opportunity. Passers-by and residents of TV Road did not lag.
If we can have this opportunity, I think it will help us a lot.
Now they brought it to our doorstep, so I think it's a very good thing they are doing.
It is part of the commemoration of this year's World Hepatitis Day, which holds yearly on the 28th day of July. In Benin, Ivie Omori, NTA News.
That's our contribution from Benin. It's back to Abuja for the continuation of Nationwide.
Thank you so much, Obey. 1,500 civil servants are to benefit from the pilot phase of the Structured Mandatory Assessment-Based Training Program, SMART-P, aimed at equipping them with official communication, security management and public finance management, among others. Adebola Brooklyn Sunday was at the launch of the program in Abuja.
So you're able to comport yourself, at least maybe by punctuality in the office and some other things, attending to your duties.
This one is a wider training that will be able to touch all areas of one's career.
Shembote Charles and Nkechi Orakwe are among the 1,500 civil servants to benefit from the Structured Mandatory Assessment-Based Program, structured towards delivering quality service to the public. Led by the head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Winifred Oyoita, permanent secretaries in all ministries, departments and agencies charged the trainees on the need to be good ambassadors of their establishments and most especially networking among themselves.
The assessment just does not end here. When a participant goes back to work, he or she is meant to apply what he has learned to his schedule of duties. We will definitely have to involve a feedback mechanism.
The training, which will last for 3 weeks, include basic, intermediate and advanced modules.
This definitely is the right step in order to rejig and reform the civil service to bequeath a befitting civil service to the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
And all dedicated civil servants must therefore identify with these noble objectives.
There was also a short induction ceremony for new civil servants. Adebola, Brookslyn Sunday, NTA News.
Time now to link up with Kemi in Ibadan for more reports on Nationwide. Hello, Kemi.
Hello, Elizabeth, and a warm welcome to Ibadan. Quality education is achievable through provision of qualified teachers and instructional materials. Concerned citizens have called on the Kwara State government to revisit some schools established in Ilorin over 3 decades ago. Abdulwahid Bibiri has details.
Providing sound and quality education at all levels is one of the major responsibility of government to the citizens. The Kwara State government, as part of efforts to provide quality and accessible education at all levels, established some community-based schools in Ilorin metropolis over 3 decades ago. They include Government Day Secondary School, Agbabiaka, Government Day Secondary School, Okwenin, Government Day Secondary School, Fati. A visit to the aforementioned schools by NTA shows that they are shadow former serve because of some challenges. These include dilapidated classrooms, insufficient furniture, lack of sporting equipment, and insufficient teaching and learning materials.
Then we shall appreciate if the government will come to our aid.
Want to plead to the present government to please see into our plight.
Well-equipped library and laboratory.
The respondents are of the opinion that a stitch in time saves 9, as prompt government attention will not only rekindle the lost glory in the education sector, but also guarantee a brighter future. Abdulwahid Bibiri, NTA News.
Media practitioners in the country have been asked to be independent as well as credible in their reportage if a nation's democracy must grow. The guest lecturer at the 3rd anniversary lecture of pen-pushing online media, who is also the former Vice-Chancellor, Tai Sholari University of Education, Professor Oluyemisi Abilade, gave us charge in Abeokuta. Anthony Gondonu's report is here presented.
With the theme, The Nigerian State, Political Evolution and Multi-Party Democracy, Education to the Rescue was the third in the series of the pen-pushing online media. The guest lecturer described multi-party system as a healthy for Nigerians' democracy as it promotes inclusiveness, alliances, coalition, and vibrant opposition to any ruling party.
We also recognize the need for media training and retraining, the educational process. We focused on education as a way out.
The founder of the pen-pushing media disclosed that apart from the source of authentic news globally, the media outfit has also moved forward in the area of corporate social responsibility, using the platform to show concern on the plight of the less privileged.
One was the discovery of Sarah.
He was the one who took me to blind center, and also he has bought a system for me, a laptop, some of my gadgets that I need in school. He paid my school fees, and some people also paid for the next year.
The event also served as avenue for media practitioners, politicians, and academia to brainstorm on the way forward for the nation's political revolution, democracy, and education sectors.
Adequate funding has been identified as a major requirement in creating a higher standard in research and ensuring lasting solution to non-communicable diseases in Nigeria and Africa. Professor of Medicine Ikechi Okwechi from the University of Cape Town, South Africa, said these at a special lecture in Ibadan in honor of the Director General, Nigerian Institute of Medical Research. Kemi Akiwande has the reports.
Non-communicable diseases are usually caused by genetic or lifestyle factors and account for almost 2/3 of all deaths globally, with 80% occurring in low and middle-income countries. Towards reducing such deaths, a nephrologist at a lecture on the theme Cutting-Edge Research in Non-Communicable Diseases in Low and Middle-Income Countries, raising the bar, said non-communicable diseases such as cancer, diabetes, and cardiovascular diseases can be effectively curbed through training of more researchers and funding.
I don't expect the government to be able to pay for dialysis for everyone in Nigeria. It's going to be very expensive. It may bankrupt the government, but at least they can make some move.
The lecture emphasized that outcomes of researches should also be implemented.
Nephrology is a small enclave of medicine. And at this point in time, we can now move nephrology to a public health level where a large majority of people can enjoy health.
In Ibadan, Kemi Akiwande, NTA News.
And that's it from Ibadan. It's back to Elizabeth in Abuja for more on Nationwide.
Thank you, Kemi. Now to infrastructural matters. In addressing the infrastructure deficits in the country, stringent measures and community monitoring have been highlighted as some of the ways to reduce the huge number of abandoned projects across the country. Guests on Good Morning Nigeria have called for deliberate and conscious efforts to follow up to execution stages of all projects. Daniel Aderi tells us more.
Nigerian Chartered Institute of Project Management has identified 56,000 abandoned projects cutting across various sectors in the country. This will cost the government 12 trillion naira to complete them. Guests on Good Morning Nigeria emphasized the need for better synergy between the executive and legislature to improve funding and execution of projects.
This 9th Assembly, there is what we call the joint tax, which is the basic philosophy of the 9th Assembly that is being propagated by the leader, the speaker, that there will be collaboration between the legislatures and the executive. And I can assure you, once there is collaboration between these two arms of government, the issue of taking money from here and doing and all that will not be possible.
Asking politicians to change the way they think, they should do this, they should do that, as we are saying here, is the most difficult to change. The easiest to change is either the structure or the style or strategy. And that's why I'm talking of strategy of changing from conventional procurement of awarding contracts to public-private partnership.
It's good National Assembly is talking about looking at the Abadan project. I think they should look at what is responsible for abandoning the projects.
The guests also identified infusion of a credible management process as one of the ways to put checks and balances on projects from inception to execution stages.
The project managers are there. It's not just like the project managers we have been having. Those ones are doing. But this is a body that will be there to tell the public, this project has been awarded. These are people responsible. These are the stages they have gone. So if there's an abandonment, you know where to knock first.
We must not rubbish whatever has been done previously because we have a new institution. That is my point. Okay. Because to say that there has not been project management, I think is not be fair.
They called for accountability from all sectors involved in infrastructural development. In Abuja, Daniel Aderiye, NT News.
Time now to take you to Sokoto, and Sadia Umar Digi is there with reports from that end. Hello, Sadia.
Elizabeth, welcome to Sokoto. President Muhammadu Buhari has again reiterated government's readiness to tackle insecurity in various parts of Nigeria. Shehu Muhammad Depti reports that the president reaffirmed the commitment while commiserating with victims of recent attack in Goronyo local government area of Sokoto State. The report.
The recent attack in the villages of Goronyo local government resulted in the loss of 29 lives. President Muhammadu Buhari was represented at the sympathy visit by Senator Aliyu Magatakadawa Moko. He described the attack as unfortunate, expressing federal government's determination to tackle the issue. Accordingly, federal government will not relent in its effort towards fighting banditry in the country, expressing deep concern over the killings of the innocent people. He assured that security operatives will go after the bandits and work out ways of bringing an end to the killings in Nigeria.
Your peace is our peace. Your worries are our worries. We always have it in our minds, and we will do whatever humanly possible so that this bad practice has come to an end in this part of the country and country at large.
Food items that include 200 bags of rice and 400 pieces of wrappers were presented for distribution to the victims. In Sokoto, Shehu Muhammad Datti, NTA News.
In Zamfara State, no fewer than 300 captives have regained their freedom within the past few weeks, courtesy of the ongoing peace initiative geared towards the restoration of a lasting peace in the state. Jamila Ibrahim reports that the latest batch of the released victims are currently being taken care of at Zamfara State Rehabilitation Center. So, the report.
The latest batch of the released captives, numbering 26, were held hostages by the suspected bandits in Maradun and Zulmi local government areas of Zamfara State.
We have just rescued about 18 in Maradun, one of the villages. We went, personally, we met the bandits and they handed over to us 18 captives who have been in captivity for many months also. Another set that we are also handed over to the Emir of Zulmi. These captives are not even Nigerians. They are from Maradi in the Niger Republic.
This feat, according to the Commissioner of Police, has further demonstrated the efficacy of the peace initiative.
That the use of force has not achieved significant progress compared with what we have achieved by the use of dialogue and peaceful resolutions.
The victims currently suffer from various injuries they sustained as a result of the torture they underwent while in captivity. Some of them, who narrated their ordeal to NTA News, commended Zamfara State Government and the police for the initiative. Meanwhile, Zamfara State Government has established a rehabilitation center where the released kidnapped persons are being taken care of before they are eventually handed over to their families. In Gusau, Jamilu Ibrahim, NTA News.
It's time for another commercial break. Network news continues shortly.
Thanks for staying with us. African Union plans to establish a continental quality assurance policy in a bid to promote ease of doing business within the African continent. Obiageli Ogweke reports that Nigeria is hosting the consultative workshop involving 28 delegates from Central, North and West African countries as a follow-up to a similar workshop held in Nairobi, Kenya for Eastern and Southern Africa.
In many African countries, there is evidence of questions arising from the issue of standards and technical regulations of goods flooding the markets. These delegates are quality infrastructure experts from different African countries. They converged on Abuja to brainstorm on the development of a harmonized Pan-African quality policy. This will be designed to provide uniform rules for all laws, regulations regarding how a product is produced, processed, and stored to ensure that its distribution does not pose a risk to human health.
And Nigeria as a country, we've been championing the harmonization of standards and the building of quality infrastructure in West African sub-region through ECOWAS and the ASO.
All the above are aimed at positioning Africa to becoming a dominant player in the global arena.
The signing of the Pan-African Continental Free Trade Agreement by many nations, they believe, further emphasizes the need for the development of Pan-African quality policy documents.
A product, if it's tested in Nigeria, should be able to reach Kenya without retesting.
Nigeria, through the Standards Organization of Nigeria, which is the apex standardization institution, and the Federal Ministry of Trade and Investment, have been playing an active role alongside other stakeholders from the country in the harmonization of standards and conformity assessment procedures within the ECOWAS region. Obiageli Ugoke, NTA News.
And President Muhammadu Buhari has condoled with the Ogunleye family, government and people of Ogun State on the passing of former Deputy Governor Alhaji Abdurrafiu Ogunleye. In a statement by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, the President described him as a loyal, disciplined politician and renowned administrator. President Buhari enjoined Ogunleye's family, friends and political associates to be consoled by the ex-Deputy Governor's remarkable remarkable political career and outstanding contributions to the unity and stability of his fatherland. He prayed Almighty God to grant peace to the soul of the departed septuagenarian. And out to sports, federal government warns athletes and officials against doping at the next African Games in Morocco next month. Kenneth Imagudike is here with details on sports updates. And that's Nationwide. So much for watching. Good evening.